Hey everyone, welcome to the Proclaim uh, webinar. I am coming to you all the way from Orlando today. We're at a conference here, and so we're so great to actually to have this webinar where we're really focusing in on technology and the impact that technology has had within the local church. So I'm even more excited to have my dear friend Poncho Louder. Poncho and I have, just grown really close together over the last couple of years. Poncho is a pastor, and really out of his experience as a pastor, has stepped into this kind of new area of really seeing technology impact the local church. And he's come out with a phenomenal custom app called Bible and Journal app. And so one of the things that we wanted to really talk about is technology and the impact that it's had in the local church. So before I get going too far, let me go ahead and introduce Poncho Louder to all of you, CEO of Bible and Journal app. What's up, Poncho?
Hey, excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Joel. I'm excited to talk about technology in the church today. Definitely something I'm very passionate about.
Awesome. Well, hey, so first off, Poncho, I know that we've got so many people that are coming in and checking out this webinar, and there's a lot of people that are pastors. They're in a local church setting, and for them, they already have so much that's on their plate. They've got their sermon preparation and their church presentation stuff and discipleship and Bible reading and everything else that comes along with being a pastor, and then all of a sudden there's this other piece of innovation and technology and how do you engage culture. And so for you, you've got kind of a really cool, unique story of continually being in local ministry as a pastor, and then also saying, hey, there's got to be a way for technology to engage, equip, and resource the local church. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on why that's such a big part of your life.
Yeah, for me, technology, I live in Portland, Oregon, and Portland's a very technological city. It's a very out-of-the-box city. We're actually the most unchurched city in all of America for major metropolitans. And so reaching people, you have to have a level of authenticity, and you have to have something that's a little bit out of the box to really catch people. And that's where technology has made a huge difference. As I've journeyed along the way, I've wanted to really try to inspire people to read their Bible, to pray more, to seek after God, and see the church grow through that process. And as I began doing that, I realized, man, there is a lot of technology out there. There's a lot of one-off companies that do all kinds of amazing stuff. I mean, pretty much everyone's heard of Logos Bible Software. Obviously, you guys are one of the largest voices in the world when it comes to that. I remember when I was in Bible college and I got my first Logos, the original languages, and started studying and getting deeper into it. And obviously that's a great resource, but when it comes to the church and building church and community, how do you do that? And as I started this journey out, what really catapulted it was this passion to want to see people read their Bible and pray every day, to really inspire that. And seeing us go into such a digital age drove me to want to make a Bible app that would really empower people not just to read their Bible, but to be in community with it. And so we created a Bible reading plan and a journal called the Pursue Journal, and out of that came this movement of hundreds of thousands of people doing devotions together, and it's a cool way for people to get connected. But then I had to ask the next question: how can we empower the church to better build community right where they're at? How can we use technology resources to do that? And as I started looking at all the options, there was a lot of them out there. I mean, so many different ways that people could be a little bit more interactive, but most of them very confusing. The truth is, I don't know tons about technology, but I know a lot of technology people. And so when I got into this journey of technology 5 years ago, and started looking at the options out there, it was so overwhelming, so confusing. I said, can't I just do a cool graphic on my PowerPoint and call it good? I think every pastor would probably say that and think that's what I would prefer to be able to do. But something inside of me said, we've got to catch today's mobile generation a little bit better. And the interesting thing is, when I make that statement, today's mobile generation, a lot of people immediately think high school, they think young college students, But if you look at the statistics that are out there, today's mobile generation is a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds that are very well established in the business community and impacting culture in a huge way. And I said, how can I reach them? How can we do this? And as we began to look at options, that's when our company really came across Proclaim and a few different software ideas that we started looking at. We said we need to utilize integration and we need to utilize collaboration. Those need to be the two things that we identify that are out there that can help a pastor, because the truth is I don't have time to learn every technology. There's a lot of people watching right now. I'm watching tons of people pop on the little screen here, and a lot of them are probably pastors, and they're thinking, how can I better use technology? You know, I've got Facebook, I've got Twitter, maybe even have an Instagram. How can I use that to better impact my church? And that's where I really found that the idea of integration and collaboration, I want to find a software package, I want to find an approach that integrates everything. I don't want to come up with just the 10 best softwares out there and try to use them all. Instead, I want to find a company that can bring it all together. And as we started that journey, that's where we came across Proclaim as a company. Me and my founding partners, you know, we came across the Proclaim software and said, you know, this is such a great resource because it brings all things church into one world. And we said, we need to make some calls and really start a partnership together, because that was our heart when we started the Bible and Journal app company, was to say, how can we make it easy for people in such a loud industry? You know, how can we bring, and I think that'd be a real foundational thought for people that are just joining in, to understand that what Proclaim brings to the table, what Bible and Journal app brings to the table, is not another one-off solution, but a way to bring everything from the Bible, Facebook, Twitter, your blogs, your video, your live streaming into one easy-to-use source.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think one of the things that you hit on, Poncho, which is so huge, is this concept that innovation and technology is so saturated and such an integrated part of today's society, particularly. And as I look at the impact that it's had, particularly on the church, I'm traveling quite a bit at different conferences, and I'm amazed. You said today that kind of demographic of people that are on their smartphones. I'm literally at this monster convention center in Orlando with about 15,000 people, and the majority of people that have come up to me that are showing me their iPhones, Android devices, smartphones, are all people that are over their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're coming in and saying, hey, there's got to be an easier way for me to engage with my church, an easier way to engage with the scriptures. And so we're so thankful to be able to provide tools like Logos and Proclaim and point them to resources like the Bible and Journal app. And I think from a biblical perspective, I mean, how phenomenal is it that we can consider how to impact our culture and speak to where they are today? I mean, I think that's a biblical principle that Jesus taught and the Apostle Paul taught as well. And then innovation in general, from times of like the printing press and how it made the accessibility of the Bible and print resources just vastly available. And now in a digital age, we have the ability to communicate not just to the people that are sitting in our pews at our church, but also potentially across the country, across the world, which is absolutely phenomenal. So one of the cool things for everybody that's tuning in here is today we're actually going to do some live engagement pieces. So if you have not done this yet, we'd like to invite you to download the Pursue Journal app in your app store or on in the Android store. That's the Pursue Journal app. It's created by the Bible and Journal app. It's actually what Poncho was referring to, phenomenal app that would be just great for your own personal Bible study and devotional. So when you do that, we want to actually show you how Proclaim signals have been integrated directly into your mobile device. And so we want to take a moment to, unpack Proclaim and some of the things that we're doing in terms of innovation and technology there. And then I'm going to hand it back over to Poncho to talk about why we integrate signals into the Bible and Journal app, and then we'll do kind of a full-on presentation of how those two things work. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into a screen share, go to my desktop here, and I would love to show you guys Proclaim. So the first thing that you'll notice inside of Proclaim is right now it's really clean, nice and neat. So at the top left-hand corner, we've got some familiar tools, new. You can open any presentation. If you want to start from scratch, go with a blank presentation. If you want some type of framework, go with a simple presentation. If you'd like a highly themed or designed template, go ahead and go with one of our themed ones. So right now it's summer. People are gearing up for barbecues and church potlucks and picnics. Our summer service presentation is excellent for that. If you have an existing presentation that you've already been working on, you can go to Open Presentation. If you've got multiple monitor setups, you can go there and go ahead and click on all the different monitors and set them to be front of house projecting or even conference monitors for worship leaders. We've got a media tab that opens up our media content. If you ever need help, just go to our help tab. We've got all kinds of great training videos for you. On the far right-hand corner, you've got your name. So you can go ahead and click on your name, and you've got all the tools that you need to get an on-air license, get a media subscription, edit your payment information. Or if you're at a conference and you've got an activation code, you can enter your code in right there. Link third-party accounts. So again, phenomenal. I want to show this to you quickly. You can enter and integrate CCLI, Graceway Media, or Planning Center online right into that. And then you also have the ability to upload individual files. But for this example, we've already been kind of working on a technology webinar, so I want to open up an existing presentation. I want to point out that typically for your presentation, it's going to take you anywhere between 5 to 10 hours, depending on how in-depth you're getting in your presentation. I just created a template and did that in a couple seconds. So on the far left-hand corner, you'll notice I've got an order of service. I can scroll down here, and I've got a warm-up and all of my service items. Some quick things, if you have any questions for myself or Poncho during this webinar, you can send them to questions@proclaimonline.com. That's questions@proclaimonline.com. As a result of our partnership and kind of what we're doing with these webinars, we've got an exclusive. You can call in the next 48 hours to get 3 months of Proclaim or Pro Media for free. You can call in to our Proclaim sales specialist. That's 855-715-6467. Poncho, I know, also has a special offer for the Bible and Journal app, and our phone guys can actually direct you directly over to them. So when you call in, you can ask to get some information about Bible and Journal app. We've got a Smart Media webinar that's coming up next week, so make sure you sign up for that August 5th at 1 p.m. Pacific or 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you go ahead and call us today or throughout this week, we're going to go ahead and give you a 10% off of your yearly on-air license. That ends on Friday. So again, 855-715-6467. If you're already in Proclaim, you can use that coupon code, which is I get 10, and then you are great. And then again, you've got, so that was a great example of announcement items that you have that are going on that you can have all in your pre-service loop. We've got incredible videos, so if you want to illustrate 2 Corinthians, you can go ahead and play those types of videos, and all of our videos will pop up, just phenomenal. And then we've got different announcement types. So when I talk about innovation, we want you to be able to engage with your church and not just have people passive. So if you've got a women's Bible study, a church picnic, any type of event, you can actually just go ahead, add people's contact information, add a date or event, and then also choose what type of signals are going to be sent out to everybody. If you want an email address or the first and last name, a website, or a phone number, you get to pick what information is sent out. Calendar event information, where it is and what date and time it is, even if it's a repeating event. So you have the ability to really communicate special events to your church, and they can lock it in their mobile devices. And then as we scroll down, we've got all kinds of great media content. Integration with CCLI is phenomenal. So you've got songs, but let's say you actually want to do Amazing Grace. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in Amazing Grace, and instantly you'll notice that it's pulling in all the songs from CCLI. I want to do the Chris Tomlin version. I go ahead and click that, and notice that Proclaim actually goes ahead and creates all of those slides and lyrics, so you never have to type in another lyric ever. And then our media content is phenomenal. You'll notice here that in the media content, you'll be able to pull in all kinds of stuff. So anything that's within your store or within your content section, it's all there, group stuff. We're doing some cool things right now with verse of the day images, so you can type in verse of the day. Actually jump to, we have over 1,100 free verse of the day images instantly right within Proclaim, and you can get a preview of them. Just so I want to see all of them, open it up, and you can search through these, scale them based off of your size, and then you can see a lot or just see them in a smaller version as well. And then we also have the store. So if you have want to purchase Pro Media or any other content, that's in there as well. Now, one of the things that we've done to really kind of take our integration and innovation level to the next place is partner with Poncho. I'm going to get him back on the screen here in a second to integrate Proclaim signals directly into the Bible and Journal app, because we wanted churches to be able to have all of their Bible, their journal, their social media, their podcast, and the ability to take all their presentation tools and links, survey signals, all of that, and send it directly to that custom mobile device. So you have all of your communication occurring in one central location. So, Pancho, I'd love to hear from your perspective why you guys were excited about Proclaim Signals in general and the impact that that's had on the Bible and Journal app and what you guys have been seeing.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a great presentation, Joel. You know, one of the things that we've really tried to do with the Bible and Journal app is not just create something that makes a pastor feel really good, like, hey, I got a podcast player. If you look at most church apps, they're really just a podcast player. But we said, how can we enlarge people's community, extend their reach, and really help them reach today's mobile generation in a significant way? And as we were going through our process, we found that the Proclaim features really take our app to that next level because they empower a pastor to really engage people the way they're used to today. If you look at statistics, you'll see that 84% of adults today are checking their Facebook. You know, 1 in 5 people are on their smartphone every 10 minutes. That's just amazing when you realize how much people are engaging with mobile apps. And when you look at the medium that they're choosing to connect with, whether it's their friends on Facebook, friends on Twitter, the Target store app, the Fred Meyer app, whatever it may be, the Nike app, if you're a runner, you know, they're choosing to use apps. Forbes magazine just did an article 2 months ago. They titled "The Death of the the death of the mobile browser," and the whole article talks about this idea that people are switching over to apps and how significant apps are. And so we wanted to create something that, again, had integration and collaboration, that really pastors could say, if I have this app and if I have this church presentation software, I don't have to learn 5 other things. You know, what I love about Proclaim is it's built specifically for the church. So if your kid, if one of the kids, you know, is in trouble in the nursery, it just pops up right inside of their presentation window inside the church. You don't have to run another software. You don't have to hang another light up. And so when it comes to our app, really what we saw the value in is that it allowed 3 aspects of your church service to go to the next level. And the first aspect was worship, which with Proclaim, the way they do it, it saves so much time, it saves so much energy, and the presentation is so excellent. The second thing we saw that it really impacted was announcements. And that's where our app comes in, because during the announcement time, every pastor is thinking, how can I save 5 minutes? How can I keep my announcement time short and sweet, but not lose its punch? You know, in today's age, a lot of people are trying to go paperless to save a little bit of money and to make it a little bit quicker. And that's where doing announcements through Proclaim, Joel just went through a whole bunch of announcements about some upcoming events. He talked about some offers and some special stuff, and he knocked it out in 60 seconds. And what's cool is if we would have been sending signals on that, inside your church app, all those things would have been there for people just to click on and be able to see later on after the church service. And also it ties in with announcements, the online giving. You know, when you look at today's 30 to 50-year-old, I think it's less than 7% of them carry a checkbook on them on a regular basis. And so when it comes to giving, you really empower people to be givers in your church service. And so as we look at it holistically, we see that it impacts the worship, it impacts the announcements, but it also impacts your preaching. Today, pastors feel that challenge to really have a lot of scripture in their sermons, which I think is awesome. I challenge pastors at pastors' conferences all the time. Quote more scripture, use more scripture. But you can lose people if you're not careful, if you're jumping all over the place. And what's great about having the proclaim signals is when you put a scripture up on the board, if someone has their phone app open, and I'm going to show you in just a minute how this works, then they can watch the signals pop up, and with one click, they're following you in a very live presentation right there on their smartphone. They're staying connected to you on every level, and so I think that's the real add value. So if you haven't downloaded yet the Pursue Journal app, I'd love for you to download that. Go into the App Store, type in Pursue space Journal. You'll see it pull up. It's built by the Bible and Journal app. There's several 100,000 users on this app right now that are going to be joining into this presentation as we do it. But I want to walk you through signals. Before I do that, do you want to add anything, Joel?
No, I think you nailed it, and I think the other thing that's incredible, I'll go ahead and touch on it for you, is the social piece of it. Is within the Pursue Journal app, when a pastor is teaching, he's got a scripture that he's quoting, he's got any type of kind of tool that you want to share with everybody else, a quote that you just heard. You can simply just go ahead and go to Twitter or Facebook, tap that, post to it, but the beauty of it is it's going to always link back to your church, or it's going to always link back to that Twitter handle. So you've got the ability not just to share a whole bunch of incredible information, but also direct people back to where it is that you got it from, which I think is really powerful. And then the signals piece and how it works, and you'll see this in a bit, is really a powerful tool for pastors to not just make a touch point during a service, but to also leave a lasting impression and an actual concrete place for them to point their congregants or church members to later. So if you're teaching through John chapter 4 and you send that scripture reference to them, when you go home, I know when I go home with my wife and my boys, I'm putting them down to bed, it's so great to be able to go into my mobile app, open up John chapter 4 where Pastor left off on, and start to unpack those principles or those thoughts a little bit more in depth with my family. So it's kind of taking that idea of let's take communication just from a Sunday morning or Saturday night weekend service and include it through the rest of your week. So those are just some initial thoughts.
Yeah, awesome. So if you've got the Pursue Journal app open, let's say that now this is our devotional app that we made, that we designed not specifically for a church, but really for people to be able to do devotion. So this is the same platform that all of our church apps are built on. So the custom graphics, the Bible has 40 different Bible versions, which we pull from Logos Bible software. It's got the journal. It's got a daily reading plan. The daily reading plan, what's awesome about it is it takes you through the Old Testament once, the New Testament twice each year, and it only takes 15 minutes. It's got a digital and an audio version. And so when you're preaching, you can be anywhere in the app that you are right now. And if I go on air here, and I put up and I say, okay, I'm going to do a scripture, and I'm going to open up my software over here. Then what happens, you'll see in just a moment, is as I begin this, it says Genesis 1:1. So I'm going to preach on God and how God's creative and His creativity is awesome. And in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And so if you just click that little tab right there at the bottom, it's going to jump you right over in the Bible, regardless of where you're at in the app. It's going to jump over for you, so you can see that. And during my announcements, that might be during my preaching, I'll use that. During my announcements, I might want to put up a blog post and tell the church to, hey, check out this event that's going on, and so, or something from the website. So you can just click on that. If you click on that tab.
Hey, really quick, can I actually show them? Because some people might not have been able to download the app yet. So I want you guys to see the power of what's actually going on. I'm in Orlando. Poncho is in Portland. And while I'm in Orlando, Florida, I'm literally getting signals in my mobile device. And I say, oh, I want to hit that link to that blog post. And I open it up. And it's literally taking me right now to that blog post or to that link. So I just wanted to point out the fact that we're literally, well, I don't even know, 6,000 miles apart, and I'm able to get those signals.
Yeah, it works great for churches that are doing live streaming also, where you might have elderly and an old folks home around the corner that are watching you on live streaming, or a business person that's on a trip, or a family that's on a vacation, and you're trying to keep them better connected. It's a great source. There's calendar cards, which are really cool. So I just pushed through a calendar card about a worship night that I made up. And by the way, I'm not a very technology guy when it comes to the PowerPoints and Proclaim and all that, but I built this presentation literally in 3 minutes. It's so easy to use for those of you that are looking at options out there. Now, let's say someone was a little bit newer to the church and I wanted to give them my information, or the ministry leader's information. You can push a contact card right out to them. I'd love for you to click on that contact card, and you can see it'll open up for you, and gives you my information. You can contact us at the Bible and Journal app if you're interested in doing more. And here's another great feature. I tied in one of the churches we use called Red Door Church. This is their giving link. And so during the announcements while you're doing giving, if someone wants to give digitally, they can just click that, and they're immediately able to give. What's great about this too is you can walk through and say, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and be done with it because you sent a signal with it. And so those that want to follow you can do that. And so what it does is it brings your entire world today of social media, of blogs, of church events, of announcements, all into one hub. And then because we're partnered with Proclaim Software, you can really take your whole church service to a whole nother level simply by getting their presentation software, which makes your Sunday morning experience amazing. One of the things that Joel will probably hit on in a little bit is that it's a cloud-based service too, which means your whole team can be working on this from anywhere. So your worship leader that maybe you don't have a staff worship pastor like most of us, he's able to work on it in the evening and upload songs while pastor's working on sermon and everything else, and it's very collaborative in nature. And what's awesome is all of it is directly connected into the app. So on Sunday morning, rather than trying to go figure out how you're going to do all your announcements, your opening announcement is just simply, hey, download our app, take a look at it. It can integrate in the podcasting. It can integrate in the live streaming. And it really, in a very clouded and loud world, it really simplifies your voice to those people that attend your church that day.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I do want to show you a couple things about Proclaim and the signals feature. Again, inside, Poncho just went ahead and described, hey, this took him about 3 minutes. So I want to go ahead and show you the technology behind those signals that he just demonstrated. So when you go back into Proclaim, I'm back. Let's get reoriented. Top left-hand corner, order of service. I'm scrolling down. I'm going into my main presentation here, the actual service, and I've got a scripture reference, Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. Maybe I want to add John chapter 4. Notice as I type in John chapter 4, Proclaim is really smart and says, hey, which section in John 4 do you want? I want the official Jesus healing his son, and I'm going to go ahead and add an Old Testament, Isaiah 2, and then we'll do 1-5. Now notice all of these just got added because I'm doing a preaching series through maybe those scriptures, or a topical series, and I'm hitting on those scriptures. Now, we are kind of paying attention to the tools that you're using, and our goal over at Proclaim is to make your life easier, not more difficult. And the thing that I dislike the most, and this probably comes from grade school, right, is busy work. We don't want you guys to be doing busy work anymore. So if you already typed in Ecclesiastes, John, and Isaiah, why retype those into signals? So you notice at the top right-hand corner, there's a little 8 bar right there, or 8 icon. When I click signals, we went ahead and created all those signals for you instantly. So those signals are going to pop up at the same time as everybody's seeing this awesome visual kind of Bible animation video that takes them right into those scriptures. So again, you're visually communicating it, and then kind of tangibly you're putting into everybody's mobile devices so that they can refer to it next time. And you can kind of scroll down. There are different options. You can do the green kind of background. Everything's going to update automatically. Go ahead and click play, and then you'll be able to preview and see those different styles. And one of the ways that we're really kind of wanting to engage people is with surveys. So you can go to add item, and in add item you can add a song, Bible on screen, Bible, which is what I just showed. And you can also do a survey. So if I click survey, you can pop into survey and you can ask any question, you know. Are you using a church app? And then there you go. Instantly, as people are responding, you'll see the information dynamically. And again, people would get this signal directly through their mobile devices. So again, I'm hoping most of you guys had the opportunity to download the Pursuit Journal app. And I think I'm going to hand this back to Poncho because I think he's got a pretty cool way to kind of illustrate the survey signals.
Yeah, if you've got the app open right now, it looks like we got quite a few people on the app right now. Go ahead. I'm going to send a signal to ask you, how is your church, how would you grade your church for technology? Would you give it an A, B, C, or D? And as I'm doing this, we got a lot of C's popping in. Got a couple B's popping in. Somebody just went to awesome. So got a couple A's. Got some more. It looks like a lot of people are rating their app as their church technology as a C. But you can see what's awesome about this feature is you could say how many of you would like to have church potluck on a certain date, and people can pick that. You can say how many of you struggle with your thought life, a little, a lot. You can put the amounts and people can click on there. There's a lot of ways you can use this to enhance your sermon. If you're preaching on the Bible, you can say, how many of you spend 1 day a week? Press A. How many of you spend 2 days a week? Press B. And you can get a pulse on how people are doing in devotions in your church also. So it's a great resource to make your service just so interactive. This one feature right here, if you were to just go online and try to do a survey thing, would cost you, most people, Bible colleges use it a lot, and they pay over $100 a month just for that one service to be able to take surveys and stuff from their students. And again, it's this idea of integration and collaboration. There's so much collaboration that Proclaim does by allowing you the mobile app feature today. I mean, if your church doesn't have a mobile app, you really should consider it. Our pricing is so affordable. The starting rate right now, we have a $400 off on the startup. If you look at the Get Started notification that just came through, you can click on that. You can see that you can get started for $400 off. So it's $400 a month, or $400 to get started, and $49 a month for you to get a church app. It's a great way to get connected with people. The Proclaim software is just an excellent tool to help you in today's mobile culture to utilize all the functionality and features that are out there to better reach your entire church.
Absolutely. And then also for the signals, we actually just had a pastor who came up to us today, and it was actually a very cool story. He was able to say, hey, we're actually getting ready to do a sermon series. Wasn't quite sure exactly what series to do, so they used Proclaim Signals to ask, hey, here are the 4 sermon kind of topics that we're thinking through. We're praying about it. We'd love to get the church's kind of take on what's applicable to them. Well, now you're actually being able to preach and teach directly to the context that your church is in. A good buddy of mine who's a worship leader at a large church, he mentioned that they're struggling to find songs that are really kind of hitting home and kind of feel like home for the church. And so he'll introduce a series of songs and then actually ask a Proclaim survey question and say, hey, of these 4 songs, which ones really had you just had a kind of an intimate experience with the Lord? And so they're able to get some direct feedback even on how the service is and the different songs and how they're doing. So in terms of creativity, Signals combined with the Bible and Journal app is absolutely phenomenal. And so, hey Poncho, for people, you just sent them a link to get started. What can they expect in terms of the process? Because I know for me, sometimes I'm thinking, oh gosh, if I have to go through a process, it's going to be a long ordeal, you know. But I know you guys have done some incredible. So what can they actually expect?
Yeah, what we always tell people is that the Bible and Journal app is a company that was started by pastors for pastors. And so I understand that most of the people out there don't have a graphics team and a technology team. And so literally, if you sign up with us, what we're going to ask you for is your website, your Facebook, Twitter, a little bit of that information, and then have you send us one of your graphics. We take care of everything else. It takes us about 30 days to get your app live in the store from once you sign up. And then as far as the upkeep, you're able to stay connected with your church in a very easy way. One of the big things, too, is that we offer push notifications, which means once someone has your app, you can send a notice on Saturday night that says, hey, don't forget to invite a friend. Tomorrow we're preaching on the love of Jesus. You know, and it's going to pop into everyone's phone. They're using this right now, the whole Church of God convention, and we've got signals going there. We've got push notifications going there, and it's just such a great way to stay connected with your church. And for those pastors that you're thinking, I just don't have the staff to pull this off, we have the staff, and we want to help you out.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I'm going to jump back in to this one more time, and I want to give you guys just that quick overview of things that we've already talked about. So again, when you go into Proclaim, you will notice that we're going to get a couple questions in here, but our kind of offer today is the 48 hours, 3 months of Pro Media, absolutely for free, and you can call our Proclaim sales specialist, 855-715-6467. If you're interested in learning more about the Bible and Journal app, let them know right away. They're going to ask you also if you are calling in, and this is great because then you get to take kind of both of these tools and really see and feel the integration and how incredible they are. On the page that you're on right now, you can sign up for our next webinar. So go ahead and register for the next one and save your spot. We are offering a kind of our webinar special, 10% off on your yearly purchase. That ends on Friday, so please make sure that you kind of take this opportunity. Again, 855-715-6467, or use coupon code IGET10, and you can do that in-app as well. And so we're so thankful for all of you that have tuned in. We're just hoping, our hope and prayer really at the end of the day, and I know Poncho would agree with this, is that we're hoping that we have tools that really impact and are a resource for you and your ministry to help you engage and equip yourselves and also communicate with your church. Poncho, any last words?
Just excited for you, and just want to encourage you, if you want to find out more, Proclaim's got a lot of great blogs. You can also go to BibleandJournalApp.com. We have several blogs about how to use Facebook, Twitter, Proclaim, how to use an app to really reach your congregation. So I'd encourage you to follow up, check out Proclaim.com, check out BibleandJournalApp.com. And let's just believe that God's going to continue to give us strategic ideas that are simple that help us impact people right where they're at.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Poncho. Man, we so appreciate you and partnering together in ministry. And thank you for everybody that has tuned in. If you're watching a recording of this, because I know a bunch of people signed up, you might be watching the replay. I will work with Poncho. Maybe we'll have some of those signals looping. And so, again, you could actually just have your presentation up and running on replay, put all those signals in pre-service loop, and all of a sudden, even in off-time hours, people would be getting those signals. So we'll work through that. So anyways, thank you guys so much. Give us a call. We're so thankful for you, and we will see y'all next week.